Now, how did the colonialism of European countries expanded into America? So the colonial countries which started to discover the new sea routes to the various corners of the world, then obviously they got the knowledge of how to reach to that place. So now first Columbus landed in the continent of South America, where the West Indies islands are part and parcel of it. So as soon as he landed there, the local people, the local tribal native people welcomed him and provided their house and shelter for them to stay there. But the Spanish people have rewarded for them by converting them into slavery and making them to work in the gold mines, which have resulted in the death of many of the people, those who are working in these gold mines and all these things, because they were not habituated of doing such kind of things. As the time passed on, later on they realized that the valuable metals like gold and silver are available here, so we need to attack that place and occupy that places with the help of the local kings. Many of the kings like Cortez, the Spanish king, expanded his region into the Mexican land, and he led a massive massacre where he killed millions of people and established the rule of the Mexico under the control of the Spanish people. And later we have one more king, Pizarro, who did the massacre of Peru people, and he occupied the region of Peru. In this way, the colonies of Spanish people started to be grown in the American continent. But as the situation was like this, England don't want to be left out behind. So England decided that we should go forward and we should get the benefits of occupying America. So they decided that we would go and establish English farmer colonies there, and during this period in England, the small farmers and the agricultural laborers were forced by the landlords to surrender themselves, and they were treated very badly. So this news spread to the England, and immediately there was a flooding cloud moving on. From there the crowd moved on continuously to settle in North America, and the North Americans were very friendly and they welcomed all of them. But these people, after occupying, they started to kill them and they started to destroy them. They started to squeeze everything of their wealth. But finally they realized that they can't do the hard work which is necessary for them to do in the fields. So they need some local native people to convert them into slavery. But the Americans are not so easily convertible into slavery. So they decided the African people to be exported as slaves, and some 15 to 20 million slaves were being exported from Africa to America and got settled there and sold very miserably at inhumanable conditions. They were packed in tight hundreds and thousands, and they were sold in the ships. Whoever is alive will be taken into the land and they will be asked to work there mercilessly. So this slavery got moved on from Africa to America, where it was influenced by the England people who brought them there. So like this, slave trade was expanded from Africa to England, especially by the England people and the Portugal and the Spain people. They started to export them, and now finally they were able to make huge profits after occupying these lands. This was the journey how the England, Portuguese and Spain established their colonies in the United States or in the other regions of American continent. So during the period of 1500 to 1800, the period of 300 years, where the Spain and the Portugal people started to settle in the continent of America. They have occupied many colonies. They have killed off many people. And now, as Spain and Portuguese, both the languages have originated from Latin language. So the Latin language is considered to be given for the American continents. Later on, it came to be the regions which are occupied by the Spanish people or the Portuguese people, named as Latin Americans or Latin America place. Now, as the time passed on, they started to destroy all the Native Americans, and we have the settled people of Spanish, settled people of Indians, settled people of the England people, and all these people getting interchangeable marriages. And now we don't have any Native Americans who basically belong to America. We have slaves coming from Africa. We have people migrated from England. We have people migrated from Portugal. We have people migrated from Spain and settling there and getting married each other. And we have many of the parents who got intermarried with the Indians to the others and others to the Indians. So we have many children who were born out of different regions of parents. So this way, the original inhabitants of the Latin America were not the original inhabitants. They were a mixture of Spanish, they were a mixture of Portugal people, they were a mixture of the Indian race, and all these together have brought a new category of people into that region. And later we have Haciendas. Haciendas are the places which are having thousands and thousands of acres of land, which have the copper mine lands or silver mine lands or the agricultural pasture lands, who used to appoint these people of the peons or the laborers or the Indian unfree Indians or the African laborers to work under their fields, and they used to in turn pay back for them. And as the time passed on, these people started to earn huge and huge profits, but the settled Spanish people also were there in the regular community of people, but the entire words or the control of the entire lands were under the Madrid Council or the capital of the Spain, where they used to appoint the higher officials and they used to send them to rule the colonies. And whoever Hindu tribal communities are there, most of the tribal communities other than the people those who are following the Spanish religion were completely destroyed, and their temples were broken down. They were forcefully converted into the Roman Catholic community, and they started to build the Catholic churches there. And the Catholic Church also had their considerable control over the people, and most of the people used to control from the Spanish background itself. And even the settled Spanish people do not have much to say about anything here. So everything was controlled by the capital, and the agricultural people, the settled Spanish people, started to do agriculture and started to do trade and started to earn huge profits. With this, the economy of the Spain started to grow higher and higher. Now, after the Spanish people occupied the colonies and they started to do the businesses according to their own interest, obviously the colonial masters always try to get benefits by extract benefits from their colonial countries. So the Latin America, Spain is getting the inexpensive labor, and the natural resources are available in plenty for them. This made the Spain to squeeze the wealth of the colonies what they have here, and these colonies are completely monopolistic, because the Spain people used to dictate what has to be done in the colonies, because they used to send their representatives as the chief officials here. These people has to follow the instructions which are passed by the capital of Spain, and there should be a clear monopoly of what is the product that has to be released outside. For example, if they declare that sugarcane has to be produced, only sugarcane has to be produced. So in that way, the colonies have to produce sugarcane or tobacco, which is a largely a commercial crop and which is to be exported to the other countries, and the profits are very little. The local elites used to not even bother about the improvement of any kind of conditions or any kind of benefits which are required for them, but they completely used to maintain a luxurious goods display in their houses, which was neither profitable for them nor for anybody else, just for fun and pleasure. They used to maintain like that. They never concentrated on the improvement of any kind of the goods or the infrastructure or anything in the Spain. And even the local Spanish people who settled in the colonial places started to feel very bad and started to dislike the Spanish rule, and now they decided that they need to have certain kind of changes and the revolutions because of the growing dissatisfaction of the people, and the American War of Independence, the declaration of independence of the American colonies, and also the French Revolution motivated the people to ask and fight for their revolts. It is in 1810 the revolt started in the Brazil region, in the other parts of the Latin American continent. Then we have from 1816 to 1826 the Latin Americans started to become free. Simon Bolivar, who led an army which was supported by the blacks, by the African slaves and all the other people of small and medium peasants, formed an army and liberated Venezuela. And later we have one more man, Mr. San Martin, liberated Chile, Peru and the Argentina in 1817, whereas finally the Brazil got it liberated and independence in 1822. So in this process they were completely got freedom and they were able to achieve success here. And afterwards in 1820s USA emerged to be a very powerful nation and economically stable nation. Then they declared the President John Monroe Doctrine was passed off. James Monroe Doctrine was passed off, declaring that we further onwards we are not ready to accept any of the American continents to be the colonial places, or any of the European powers can build their colonies here. And for this he got the support from the British navy, which is having, Britain is having a huge and massive navy which always supported the moves of the United States of America, because their interest is in this point that it would stop the other European countries entering or establishing their colonies in the United States of America or in the American continent. So obviously the countries would be free to do trade with the England and also get benefits from them. We can buy the products from them at very less cost, and America would obviously help them in doing the trade and all these things. So this motto has made, even though these countries were independent and they were not fully economically settled, so they need to depend for technical knowledge and for the economic assistance on the mighty powers of USA and British, and also they were planning the same landlord system continued, same slavery system was in existence, same semi-slavery system was in existence, which was present for them at that point of time, and which could not be done much other than existing in the colonies, even though they were independent for namesake, but they are still having the features of the colonial nations. So this was the dream of the British supporting the Monroe Doctrine.